Hey, Flying Buffaloes, cheers. How you guys doing?
Hey, how's it going? Hi.
I'm pretty good. Thanks for being on our show. What are you guys going to perform for us?
This first tune is the title track off our latest record. It's called Loaded and Rollin'.
Awesome. Take it away.
Been running, but I'm too scared. I should have been taking some chances out there. I shouldn't have listened to what people say. I should have been doing things my own way. That's it. Alright. Many days, too much time I spent. Too busy working for a couple of cents. Too many times that I looked away. I should have made some time for the day and the rock hits the bottom once again. I'm rolling down again. Rolling stone without an end. I'm loaded and rolling again. Better breathing, but it's not too late. How to stop and get out of this place. Well, give me shelter when I hit the ground. I gotta go where true love can be found. And the rock hits the bottom. And that rock hits the bottom. Oh, that rock hits the bottom once again. Whoa. Rolling down again. Rolling stone with nowhere to land. When I'm loaded and rolling again. I'm rolling down again. A rolling stone with nowhere to land. Then I'm loaded and rolling again. I'm rolling down again. A rolling stone without an end. Then I'm loaded and rolling again.
So solid, you guys. Awesome. Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. It sounds great. So good. So you guys just got back from Cincinnati, right? Weren't you playing out? I saw a video of you guys playing in the city.
We did. We got to go. Road gigs are slowly trickling in. We got to play one show in Hamilton, Ohio. It's a really awesome little town and a great venue, and they like took all the proper precautions to keep everybody social distance. You had to they like painted boxes on the lawn and all that. So it was a really good time. I'm glad some venues are starting to do that.
Sure. I mean, are you finding more venues doing that outside of Nashville than in Nashville, or
Yeah, I don't
how's
know a
Nashville
single one
been
that's done it
since?
in Nashville.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's such a crazy time. Like I know, like here in New York, like we're just trying to figure our stuff out, like with bands, and I mean, there's a lot of solo work happening, but not so much with bands in our state. But yeah, so very cool. Did you already have shows? I mean, were you guys planning a tour before COVID hit, or I mean, you guys just typically travel out of town for most of your shows?
We were on the road actually when all the clubs closed, so we
Jeez.
had to shorten the tour there.
Yeah. Now, do you find more success playing outside of the city than in the city? Like, I know you guys all originally met on Broadway, right? Like, you were playing most of your shows there. Johanna, I remember you, when I came to visit Nashville, and we were on Spencer's porch, and you were just getting all your materials and promo together, and you're like, yeah, I'm starting this new band called Flying Buffaloes, and like just trying to kind of get things in order at the time. Has it been 5 years? How long have you guys been together?
I think it's been 4.
4, yeah, that makes sense.
Time flies.
It sure does. Yeah. So you all started playing together pretty much like most of your shows you were doing downtown. How can you explain to somebody who's not that familiar with Nashville the difference between playing downtown as opposed to like the burbs, like East Nashville, what the dynamics like, and in terms of you playing your own music too?
Sure. Hey, I'm Danny. I'm the drummer. There's kind of a big dynamic as far as like tourism and local draw at these different clubs. So if you go downtown, it's typically tourists and a lot of Nashville-based bands that are playing there, as opposed to if you go to the clubs in like West Nashville or East Nashville, you're going to find a lot more local attendance there, and a lot of touring acts will go through those venues in addition to the local bands.
And on Broadway, I mean, it seems like there's a lot more cover music going on. Is that true, or that just always seemed my impression?
Definitely.
That is true, but it depends on what club you play at. So we play a lot at the Acme Feed and Seed, and they actually want us to play our own songs, and so I guess that would be an exception in that street.
Cool.
It's a diamond in the rough.
Can you tell us how you all came together? I mean, like, how did you? I'm sorry, I cannot talk today. How did you guys all find each other? I mean, you're all from different cities, and
Johan was kind of the catalyst for this. He had met Danny and Barry through an audition for a band, and made good pals with those guys. And then he met me at a separate audition for a different gig. And this is my brother Brandon back here. So Johan was kind of in the middle. Oh, sorry, Barry, and brought us all in together,
He's the connector. I love it. And where'd the name Flying Buffaloes come from?
Yeah, Brandon. Yeah, I can handle that one. So early in the band, we were doing a lot of recording and just trying to kind of figure out our sound, and we were demoing a lot of different tunes. And at the studio, I have just kind of come clean here. I have a temper when it comes to really fast tempos played over and over and over again. And we just got to a point where I chucked a thing of salsa against the wall, and in addition to that, I threw a roll of buffalo nickels, and they just went everywhere. And those buffaloes were flying, and that's how the name came about.
All from your temper.
From my temper, which I'm working on.
He never quite got his coin collection.
He's too hard on himself.
Well, at least something good came out of that, right? That's cool. I mean, how would you say your music's evolved since 4 years ago? I mean, since your first recordings to now.
Well, we definitely have more energy in the show right now. It's more rockin' than before, and we've just we started writing together more, and so it's more of a collaborative now than it used to be on the very first record.
I was going to say that, I mean, with such strong musicianship and backgrounds musically for each of you, I mean, is when you're, like, what's your writing process like? Do you ever all sit and actually have like a co-writing session, or, is it, one person comes up with something, another person has like an idea, and you kind of just go off of that? How does it normally happen, or does it happen? All that happen?
It's a little bit of everything. It's kind of all those things. There's no one set way that an idea gets brought to the table, but we have written completely collaboratively, all in the same room, coming up with ideas, that sort of thing. But I'd say most of the time, somebody has an idea and brings it to the group, or brings it to somebody else and kind of works on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So now in all your traveling and performing, I mean, do you have a favorite city that you always enjoy going back to?
Honolulu.
But shout out to like small town America too, because that's where we've gotten so much love. And a lot of times these like little towns are overlooked, and people are so hungry for music there, as opposed to a big city where people sometimes are inundated with live music. And man, we just get so much love from like little towns throughout the Southeast and the Midwest.
Shout out to all those Ohio cities and Iowa cities that we play.
Indiana,
with those-
Illinois.
Indiana. We have a lot of fun with those guys. Wisconsin. We try to make it up to Minnesota as much as we can.
Yeah. So
Illinois is fun.
it's not so much about the locale, though we did love Hawaii a ton for the actual location and the beaches and stuff. It's about the people and the connection, and I think as long as there's love wherever we're going, we're really happy and just grateful to be there.
Sure. I mean, we're kind of in the age of live streaming right now. I mean, how do you guys feel about you obviously love performing live, and nobody will ever try to take that away from you. But do you enjoy doing any of this live streaming? I mean, you guys obviously have a good setup for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we love doing that, and we love being there for our fans still in these difficult times where we can't really go out as much as we'd like to. So, kind of like what you did here, something happened in the world, and then we kind of have to make the best out of it and come up with something. And so we started streaming. We kind of, it took 3 days to get everything out of the garage that we're in right now and set everything up, and we got people helping us here. We got Micah doing the sound, and we got cameras up here and lights, and so we're just trying to stay busy and trying to give our fans what they want.
Sure. Now, I mean, today's theme is overcoming. Our next guest is an incredible example of that, and you guys will see why. Is there anything as a band in the past 4 years that you felt like was a true hurdle that you've had to overcome, or is this moment in time now kind of that hurdle where you're just trying to, come through and remain relevant and strong in your musical presence?
Yeah, I'd say now we've got our act together. We work really well together. So this whole COVID thing, it's obviously changed the nature of the game, but we're still very busy and coming up with new material all the time. So it hasn't slowed us down in the creative department at all. But as far as hurdles to overcome,
I can think of one big one.
Do it.
One of our biggest challenges was the Southwest tour through Louisiana and Texas. It was the middle of the summer, and it was very hot, and we had a blowout, one of the first couple we experienced in Barry over here. The exhaust pipe bent and sealed shut, and so someone came and cut it for us, but then the problem was that it was melting the underside of our RV.
Oh my gosh.
So Barry here made multiple trips into Walmarts and Home Depots, getting...
that was like midnight in
Yeah.
a Walmart, running around like, what are we gonna do?
We spent...
We only made it to Memphis. We were supposed to be in Texas the next day.
Desperate to make the gig.
So we went through this tour with tin aluminum oven pans, jimmy rigged into this exhaust pipe that went out, and we must have spent like 12 or 15 hours just underneath the RV.
Let's clarify, Barry spent that time while we all wandered around looking for ways to stay hydrated.
You can imagine Jiffy Pop popcorn. It looks like that. You just I took baking pans and rolled them up and then wrapped wire around them, and then it kind of ballooned out like Jiffy Pop, but it got the job done.
Hey, it sure
And we
makes for a
didn't
great
miss a
story.
We didn't miss a show.
Oh,
Didn't miss a single performance.
that's awesome. Well, you know what? Talk about an experience, right?
Still have nightmares.
Well, you learned something new about yourself, that's for sure. you learned that you could be the next MacGyver, pretty much, right?
Certainly, yeah. No, getting through stuff like that is where you make your mistakes and you learn from them, and you're more prepared for the future. Just like now, everyone's going through this together, and I think we're all going to come out stronger because of it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, you guys, where could our audience be directed to your music and find out more about you?
Brandon, you want to take that?
Yeah, check out our website, flyingbuffaloes.com. You can find us all over the internet, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, you name it, you'll find us. So check us out, flyingbuffaloes.com.
Fantastic. And your music sounds awesome. I was jamming out to you on Spotify over the weekend.
Thank you.
So
Thanks,
great
Amanda.
work. And I wish you continued success and safe journeys along the road. So I am going to, before I bring out my next guest, we're going to bring back Flying Buffaloes in the end for one more original song. Before I bring my next guest, I just want to throw a shout out to today's sponsors. Electronic Merchant Systems. If you're local to Rochester and you are in need of accepting credit card payments, make sure you see the charge card guys. Thank you to Compeer Rochester for your support in our community and for your support in our program. And also, if you guys need to get your pizza orders in, Monday night pizza order in at Salvatore's, that's the place to go. Miss Marissa, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome. You look lovely. Can you tell our audience a little bit about who you are, your background, and what led you to creating lupuscheck.com?
Sure. So I'm Marissa. A lot of people know me as Lupus Chick. I don't even know if they're quite sure of my first name, but so years ago, I started Lupus Chick. It's been about 12 years, but going back, way back before that, I had been sick since I was a little girl. And then in my 20s, when I was in college, I was actually hit by a drunk driver when I was crossing the street. So I spent about a year in recovery. A lot of autoimmune diseases like lupus need a trigger, or there is some type of trigger that patients can think back on. So getting hit for me was my trigger. And so on top of dealing with the injuries that I had from being hit, I also started to get really sick. So it was quite a life-changing experience for me. I spent many years after that in and out of the hospital. It was also really the time before social media and the internet, the way that we have it today. So once blogging started, I decided I'm going to make this area for people to connect and to find one another. And then it just sort of grew and grew into something unimaginable.
Now, I know you had mentioned that this all started snowballing, at a very young age, but I mean, has writing been your main sense of coping throughout all of this? Like, have you always just been a writer?
I did always really enjoy writing, but I was told, don't go to school to get an English degree. You're never going to get a job. I just felt like everybody that I talked to about it sort of poo-pooed it. And I went to school to actually be an RN. Always loved to help people. So I always loved the medical field. And I just assumed that was going to sort of be my path. But when all of this happened and I was really like stuck in bed or I was stuck in the hospital, writing just sort of naturally came back to me and I loved it. And it actually just opened doors to my journalism career. That's what I did for the past 13 years.
Sure, and it takes, I mean, well, with writing, right? I mean, I'm not sure if you feel this way, but if you get yourself, it's easier to get yourself into the routine and habit of doing it every day, right? I mean, at least for me, like when I was songwriting more, like that's just even writing like a fragment of something, like would kind of propel me to write more. Was that ever the case for you, or you just kind of only wrote when you felt inspired?
I feel like I can pretty much write all the time. I feel like I'm really lucky in that sense. I think the hardest thing for people when I talk to them is really just getting started. But once you start getting your words out and you see it going somewhere, I think this excitement sort of builds, at least for me, and I can't really stop. I lose a lot of sleep because I just keep writing.
I mean, from where do you draw the strength to, in overcoming all that life's presented you?
Honestly, I think my faith has a large part of that whole thing. And also, I have an amazing support system. I have great friends. I have an amazing family. So I've been really lucky in that sense, really, since I was little. When you have people around you that are your cheerleaders, that are encouraging you, that are supporting you, even like the most challenging times, you can just kind of see at least that light at the end of the tunnel. But also my faith, like I know with everything that I've gone through medically, like I should not be here. But I know that there was, at least I believe there's a very specific purpose in my life, and I'm living that out. And that also gives me that drive. I think it also comes down to just being resilient. I think that we are a lot more resilient than we give ourselves credit for. So being able to sort of bounce back and set your mind at something and not let a situation take you down is critical. So, and I refuse to do that.
I mean, what do you say to somebody that has a hard time, like that has a hard time being resilient, like life throws us these curveballs all the time, and it's not easy, as you know, but for somebody that just can't help but get themselves out, can't help but like sink deep into the negative part of it. I mean, what advice would you give somebody who's there and just is like, I just can't see myself out of this?
So I think our headspace is really important, and where we let our thoughts go. And I'm not saying that I've ever, I have never been to a point where I've been in a dark place, because I absolutely have. Um, but we're not all born extremely like resilient, but resiliency is actually something that you can learn. I tell people to do research about it. There are actually tools that you can bring into your life, techniques, different things that you can sort of take part in that can help you build resiliency. But as far as our headspace, I think we sort of have our baseline, and it's just really important to know when we're spiraling into a really dark place. And when that happens to me, there are, a few people around me that I can be extremely honest and transparent with, and let them know that I'm having a hard time getting myself out of like a certain thought pattern, or just really focusing on like what the major health crisis is. And usually fear is what gets me going into that area, and it usually has to do with my health. So I really just sort of surround myself with people that can come alongside me, um, can just talk to me, pray with me. Also, I have a very trusted doctor, so if I feel like I'm sort of going into an area that's not good, like I feel like I can be honest with them. Also, like counseling, if it's something that you really struggle with and you just have a hard time just on a regular basis getting yourself out of a mindset like that, I think counseling is a wonderful thing, and having someone that you could speak to openly and that can really give you some tools and some techniques to just help you, because it's not a great place to live, and it can hinder you from not just enjoying your life, but just also living out your purpose. And I absolutely believe that everyone has a purpose that they're here for.
I do too. I really think so. I've seen, I was going to share my story a little bit later about somebody that impacted my life, but yeah, I definitely think there's always some underlying beauty to a situation, even in the darkest of situations, and it helps. It really is our guide in some ways in life. It helps us discover new things about ourselves. And like you said, you discover this resilience, and you are incredibly resilient and courageous. And I commend you. I mean, honestly, right now, from 1 to 10, what is your level of pain?
Today,
Yeah.
probably like a 7. Today was rough.
Yeah. See, and like looking at you right now, like you look beautiful, and nobody would ever know that, and that I think that says a lot for you to be sitting here with us right now having this conversation.
And that's why I think it's really important that people know about, like, and I appreciate you doing this. People need to know about chronic illness, and autoimmune disease, and just people that are dealing. You never know on the outside what someone is going through. And I'm not the one that I'm gonna just share it openly. Like, I sort of just deal with it on my own. And again, that can put you in mentally like not in a good place. But I always tell people, like, Facebook and social media, like this is not real life. Like, if you see someone having a good day, we still have no idea like what is happening, how they're feeling. And it's just so important to connect with people on a personal level, and be authentic and be genuine and ask them, how are you doing? Is there something I can do for you? How are you feeling? It's so easy.
Yeah, and you're so sweet about that too. Like I know I actually was I was researching you when I was having my allergic reaction. I was like being monitored in the hospital, and I was, I found you somehow just through researching articles, and I was like, wow, this girl is incredible, and to think, and the first thing that you write to me is, hey, how are you feeling? How are you doing today? Which is so incredibly kind, and probably you're not even thinking much about it, but sometimes just asking those simple questions could do a lot for someone,
Mhm.
What was your breaking point?
Um, I had to think about this. I thought it was when I got hit by the truck, because everything changed so suddenly. But I wasn't really dealing with the lupus like full force at that point. So being so young, I mean, I was 23 and I'm going to be 43 now. Like I didn't really know what I was in for. So I would say my breaking point probably came a couple of years ago, when I was in a really bad lupus flare. I had to start chemotherapy, which is a typical treatment for lupus. Like when it's out of control, we use like old school chemotherapies to sort of dampen the immune system. And I was so sick physically, and it put me in such a dark place mentally, that it is literally by the grace of God that I am still here today. That really, that to me was probably the lowest point.
I mean, how'd you work yourself through that though, to get yourself in a positive mindset and pushing forward again?
Again, a lot of prayer. My prayer life is a huge part of my life every day. Having people around, being honest. I think if I had kept that to myself and didn't tell the people that were closest to me that I was mentally in a really dark place, that I felt, that this was all just too much for so many years and it was just so hard and I didn't think that I had the strength anymore. I think if I hadn't been honest about that, um, and honest with myself about it, knowing that like, Marissa, you're not in a good place right now. Like when you start thinking that not being here anymore is better than whatever it is that you're going through, like you have to find someone that you can trust, that you can talk to about that and make a plan, like whatever it is, change any and everything around you, speak to someone, and not let that momentary challenge cause you to do something that lasts forever.
I got a kind of hard question. So, if you could take all the pain away and take back all these incidents that happened to you, would you? Would you? I mean, what do you think that would? I mean, basically, that would alter your entire life path, right? Would you be willing to sacrifice all the success you've had now because of all these things that have happened, and have lived a different life, if you could?
I wouldn't take it back in exchange, like when you say like success. For me, because I've thought about this question, people would ask me, if you could change one thing, would it be like not to be in that place, like when you got hit by the truck? I really think that this is exactly how my life was supposed to go, and that I was put here to help other people. I have to share this story. I have to let people know that you might get an unexpected diagnosis, you might face a life-threatening challenge, and it is not going to be the end of you. In fact, I think it's going to be the beginning of your life. It is going to teach you so much about yourself. I feel like you're going to find your gifts. You can find your purpose in that. And I think that I was supposed to let people know. And I think that Lupus Chick has proven that. So I would not change my life for anything. I'm very happy.
Good for you, Marissa. It's amazing. You're amazing. Can
Thank
you
you.
coach us and give us a few tips on which, on some ways that maybe we could be a little bit more mindful in our approach to somebody who's battling autoimmune disease?
Sure. I think, the biggest struggles that we deal with is on the outside. Obviously, a lot of us do not look sick, especially like people with lupus, unless we have a very like significant lupus rash. Um, I think I don't want to say like being ignorant or just like uneducated, but honestly, that's what it comes down to. Not understanding what someone is going through. Take a few minutes, research their diagnosis online, learn that every day is different. Yesterday I spent most of my day in bed. Today I have like a full schedule. But every single day when I wake up, I really have no idea what I'm going to feel like, what my pain level is going to be, how fatigued I'm going to be. Am I going to have a fever? Most of my life, I have a fever. So imagine like when you're just getting sick and you just sort of feel crummy and you know that you're getting the flu or something. That's everyday life for me, that I have to, shop and work and do all these other things feeling like that. And that's what most people with chronic illness deal with. So understand that what you're seeing on the outside is not a full picture of what is going on. And also be very specific. Like I always tell people, it's great to hear like, oh, I hope you're feeling better. Let me know if you need anything. I'm not the type of person where I'm going to really reach out and ask you specifically. But if someone were to ask me, can I help you get some groceries? Can I go pick up your medicine? Do you need a ride to the doctor's office? Can I bring you something at the hospital? Like being very specific, I think also really helps people. Can I just come and sit with you? Like I don't even need someone to do anything for me. It's always nice to have company. It's always nice to have someone that you can talk to. Obviously, it's a little bit different today, but maybe you can do a Zoom meeting or something like that. But I do want to let people know, like the most hurtful thing, or one of the most hurtful things with chronic illness, is not believing someone, calling them lazy, thinking that they're just trying to get out of their responsibilities or their duties because they can't get out of bed. And it really just, whatever we're trying to grasp and hold on to, because we already feel like we're losing so much. When people don't understand or they make ignorant comments like that, it really just, it hurts us just on top of everything else. And it's so unnecessary.
Sure, I could only imagine. Marissa, you just wrote a book. Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. Yeah. How's that feel?
It feels good. It's been like a 3-year process, so it feels really good.
Yeah, I could imagine. I mean, can you give us like a little insight? I mean, what could we expect?
Sure. So I sold my memoir to Broadleaf Books about 1.5 years ago, and it just came out on pre-order. It's on Amazon. It will be on Barnes and Nobles. It will also be in bookstores, but right now it's on pre-order online. It's called Chronically Fabulous. It officially comes out in May next year, which is the beginning of Lupus Awareness Month. But basically, it is like a guide, a battle cry for anyone that has chronic illness. It's not just for people that have lupus, but a very encouraging book. It has my story weaved through it, but it's really more for the reader of how to take this experience and this journey and honestly live the best life possible despite everything that you're going through.
That's incredible. How long is it? Is it like a pretty lengthy book?
I think it was just over 50,000 words.
Wow. That's excellent. That's so exciting.
Thank you.
I mean, I know you said that it's, kind of been a long time coming. I mean, does it take, so those days that that are hard to get out of bed, I mean, do you still push yourself to write?
If I have like certain deadlines, I usually do. That's something that I definitely need to get better at. I will push myself until the end, but I'm definitely learning. I will say no now. I will take a few days off because I know that if I don't and I set myself up, I basically set myself up for failure and a flare up, and that could put me down for weeks. So I think really, being in tune with your body, and again, like learning to say no. I think when you have chronic illness, you kind of want to go like above and beyond. You don't want to let anyone down. You almost want to like prove to other people that you're just like everyone else, and you have just as much energy and you can do as much as everyone else can. And we sort of like overcompensate and we try to do so much. And that really hurts us in the long run. So I now am learning in my 40s to stop and take a break and let myself rest.
Good for you. You deserve that for sure. Marissa, can you guide our audience to where they could find out more about you? And also, if they're interested in being a writing, like contributing their writing to your website, that's something, can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So we just launched, we just rebranded. It took us 6 months. I have an amazing creative director, Cassandra Ewart. She just built the most beautiful Lupus Chick website. So it's LUPUSCHICK.com. We just launched it this past weekend. We do have an area in there for contributing writers. So on any topic on chronic illness, they can reach out. You know, we usually do like 500 words or more. We do pay a small stipend to our writers. We are a nonprofit. And also we are on Instagram and on Facebook under Lupus Chick. In Instagram, it's Lupus Chick Official. And also for anyone that has lupus, or if you know someone that has lupus, twice a year we do a college stipend where we give someone that's in college money for tuition, housing, things like that. So stay tuned because we have another one coming up this fall. We've given out 9 already.
Amazing. I love it. You are incredible and such an inspiration. And thank you for being on our show. I wish you all the luck. And I can't wait for your book to come out.
Thank you.
So,
thanks for having
thanks,
me.
Marissa. Thank you. Hey, Flying Buffaloes, you guys ready to rock out one more?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, hi.
One more
Hey.
song.
One more song.
This morning, I poured the whiskey right in my tea. Found an old butt on the kitchen counter. All those things you don't like to see. Blasting Haggard on the radio. I beat the can and I'm off to go. The world from the driver's seat. To feel the freedom, to feel the heat. Today I am a lonesome cowboy. Today I'm gonna do things on my own. No one to tell me what I'm doing. Today the road is my own. Passing the airport down in Frankfurt. Well, I'm talking Frankfurt, Germany. The big airplanes flying o'er the highway. Lord, while I'm dreaming about Tennessee. Blasting Charlie Daniels on the radio. I put it in the fifth gear and I'm good to go. See the world from the driver's seat. Feel the freedom, to feel the heat. Hey, I am a lonesome cowboy. Hey, I'm gonna do things on my own. No one to tell me what I'm doing. Say the road is my home. The sun is waving me goodbye. And I know you're on your way back home. Soon I'm getting off that highway. 'Cause I know you're waiting there for me all alone. Blasting King Joe world from another point of view. Ah, baby, while I can't stop thinking about you. See, I felt like alone somehow. See, I did things on my own. No one to tell me what I'm doing. But I'm glad to get back home. No one to tell me what I'm doing. But I'm glad to get back home. Thank you, Afternoon Cocktail, for having us. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Flying Buffaloes, you guys. Yes, you guys are so awesome. Thank you, Flying Buffaloes. Thank you to Marissa Zeppieri of lupuschick.com. Make sure you like both their Facebook pages and check them out on Instagram as well. So today's theme was overcome. When you take your place in the world, you will inspire others to do the same. Instead of asking, what choice do I have? Ask yourself, what choice can I make? Life can suck, but it doesn't have to suck the life out of you. As our lives begin to play out, obstacles will unfold, and there will be points which we may feel as if our world has been turned upside down. Finding strength to pull yourself through those times of weakness and defeat takes a sincere amount of courage, will, and strength, as today's guests have exemplified. Not allowing your obstacles to overcome you, to control you, to define you, is the one stance you must take. I want to share with you an example that has impacted my life. Years ago, I think it's been about 9 years, I met this little girl named Lizzie. And I met her through a friend of a friend who was a bass player in a band. And I had sat in with the band, and I got to know the families. And Lizzie had a brain tumor, and she unfortunately lost her life at 8 years old to cancer. And before she had lost her life, we had thrown a benefit, and you just see the impact this little child has, and can't help but ask, why? Why do these things happen? Don't take yourself hostage. Choose not to be a victim. This girl at 8 years old had more life to her and died with a smile on her face because she was so resilient. Bad things happen to good people every day. Seek the help that you may need in order to pull yourself through. And in turn, lend your hand to help someone around you who need it. When we come together, that's when we're strongest. Each of our stories have meaning and can benefit another, whether or not we recognize it. So take back the control. Find the opportunity to grow, to share, and to be the impact you wish to see in the world. Thank you to Beau Productions. Shout out to James Farley of Northwestern Mutual and to Maiden Voyage Studios. Thanks again to Compeer Rochester, Salvatore's Pizzeria, and Electronic Merchant Systems. Thank you to you guys. Cheers to a brand new week. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. See you soon.